If not, let me know. Okay, so yeah, you see the agenda is a bit shorter than the last time because we don't have the aspect of the self-study. So you will receive some additional documents from my side within the next days. So you have a bit more to read until the 2nd of July, our last lesson. We will talk about the project work and your submission of today. We will have the content repetition, and then we're gonna have a bit more of additional content regarding the consulting practice. So we will talk about process management and different other tools that accompany the consulting process, like communication tools and target setting tools and so on. And we will have an outlook, as you already know. So regarding the organization, we will have on Thursdays. It will be less. That means we'll be presenting your project work result presentation, and I will come up with some questions and answers. Of course, therefore, I will do a first dive into your project report. Then the week after, we will have our last lesson, and you will have the chance to reflect your project presentation. I will go through all our content in a very high-level way, just to sum up what we talked about within the last month, from marketing and strategy to consulting, practice, project management, process management. And we will have a bit more of content regarding consulting future. That's the idea. And yeah, after that, from this week on, the grading process regarding your performance will take place. That means I will go through your documents and also your presentation performance, to provide a grade to you. So then let's check the project work. Yesterday, or that means yesterday at midnight, which means today in the morning in China at 6, you were asked to submit your report, and by email or Slack. This is what we talked about on Monday. And yeah, I was a bit confused opening your document, because I wasn't in the first moment not quite sure if it's your final document. And when I opened it, there were missing very important, relevant information. For example, your names and the date. So this, at the moment, I don't know from whom it is. And so the grading is a bit difficult for me. Also, this kind of visual statement doesn't really look very attractive. So the idea was that you will submit your document, your final version, as a PDF document. That makes it a bit easier, or at least, erase these format information, this change information. So this is my first feedback to your document, and also there are a lot of headlines with no content. Yeah, there's no abstract, there's no list of tables or other lists like graphics or something like that. And it's the same here in the end. In chapter 6 is something I realized.
Mm-hmm. Hello?
without content.
So sorry, you lost connection for a few seconds.
I don't know if you could hear me, so my
Again. 是我卡了吗？还是老师卡了？
老师不见了。
哎，就我们各个版本之间问题很多，因为有些人可能用的就 iOS 的版本，有些人用的 Windows 的版本。Oh, welcome back. Seems you got some internet problem.
I was off for a few moments. I don't know where I lost you. Probably you heard and saw what I was trying to tell you about the version of your project report I found on thank you. I found on Slack. So yeah, as I already said, this document doesn't really look like a final version to me. There are contents missing, and if you don't want to say anything about a specific content, then please erase your the headlines. So yeah, maybe you can tell me what's going on with your final version. Is this the one, or am I wrong? Didn't I find the document?
Well, well, it's we found a lot of major mistakes because some typing, some working on iOS system and some working on Windows system, and when we open the same document, we got a different.
So who was responsible for the upload or for the finalization of the entire document?
Well, I checked the.
No one?
I have to. Actually, no one. But I actually, we.
Okay,
I checked I checked
actually,
the.
with this kind of performance, I couldn't let you pass this course because at least the names are missing, you know. So this is not. So I don't know who did the writing. So it's very important that you change this information and that you, that you finalize that document. And I'll give you a last chance to do that until tomorrow midnight German time. Yeah. So in a written way, so you can see it. So you have to enter all your names. You have to optimize the formatting. You've seen what I've seen. It's not very easy and user-friendly for me to read that. You have to add missing content or erase non-relevant headlines. And please do the upload until tomorrow, end of day, German time, on Slack, and send me a comment that this is your final version. Okay? So last chance for you.
Okay. Maybe I will do the last check.
Is it clear for you all?
Yeah.
Okay. So another point is that you have to, when you finalize the project report and send it to me by Slack in a PDF version, that is, yeah, I would appreciate that because then I don't have to deal with any formatting problems. And you have to print out that version one time and send it to the Prüfungsamt. Yeah. So this is what Lee said he would take over, if I'm right, because he and Chen have to go to the university. And you have to prepare the presentation and the handout for the next week. And yeah, for next week on Thursday. So, next slide. So maybe next week we can also talk about what maybe went wrong uploading your final version or finalizing your project report. But first you have to clarify that in your team, with your teammates. So I would go over to the next point. That means we will talk about the details of your presentation. Yeah, so I'm sure that's your next project step. So give me a second. I will open the Trello board for us. Okay, so finished project report is still open, so I will change that until tomorrow as a last chance. This is what you have to check for yourself. So if there's content missing, like the conclusion or abstract lessons learned, please check that for yourself. And here, as we already talked on Monday, I expected a PDF version, not a Word document. Please take that into account as well when you submit your project report tomorrow. Okay, this is what you have to check on your own after our lesson today, or in a break we are going to do. And
ask a question.
So, as I already said, please then print out the project report and hand it over to the Prüfungsamt until next week, Wednesday. Yeah, deadline is Wednesday. And please prepare the presentation and the handout. So my question is, what kind of questions do you have regarding the presentation? Shall we check the requirements in the PowerPoint, in the project work guidelines? I think that's easier. So I will open that document as well. I think it's this one. Yes. Sorry. Maybe you also take a look into the guidelines again before you send out the project report tomorrow, and verify if you've got everything. Yeah, if you've got everything in your report. So these are the requirements of the presentation. So you can, I ask you to use PowerPoint or a similar format. Excuse me, close the door.
有没有听得见我吗？
So, yeah, use the PowerPoint format or a similar format, because we are working here in an online, we have to work in an online format here, so it's a bit easier for me to follow and also for you to prepare it. there are two parts. Part A is about your concept, and it should take about 45 minutes. And we will have about 15 minutes for questions and answers from my side. It would be lovely if you could, prepare maybe some questions and answers, and I will do that as well. When I created that guideline, I was expecting more than one project team, but now we are one, and so it's only me in your audience and maybe Ms. Frisch. So I don't expect you to create a big discussion. So we'll have 50 minutes to talk about your presentation content. And part B is about your reflection, about your teamwork and your progress and results. And I expect you to present about 20 minutes, and we will talk about that about 10 minutes afterward. And I'm also asking for a handout for part A and part B. We will take a look at the requirements regarding the handout on the next slide. What should be the content of your presentation? It is, I'm taking my laser pointer. So you should tell me about your project mission, your target, and the background. So the story of the RPA company and also your consulting company. You should tell me and Frisch about your consulting approach and your solution. What are you recommending to the client? And also, this is part B, yeah, you've noticed. What were your project challenges and your lessons learned? What would you do in the same way like this time, and what would you do in a different way? Yeah, so the first 2 points are referring to part A, about 45 minutes, and the last point is referring to part B, your lessons learned and reflection. So the discussion, as I said, it would be nice if you could prepare some discussion points or maybe open questions for you. As I said, it's a bit more difficult because we are a very small audience, and please be prepared that we will ask some questions about the content and also your progress and your approach. What's important for me is that you try to realize kind of an interaction with the audience, that it's that you also can, for example, bring up different ideas that you did not put in the report, but you were thinking about it, something like that would be also very interesting. Because if I remember right, for example, you had different ideas when a project ends, and but maybe you in your report you defined one of these words. And the last important information for you is about the evaluation. So what will I check? What is important for the grading? It's for me, it's important that you are able to present very clearly what your key messages are and what the and the content of the presentation itself, of course. If everything that's written here, that's asked for here, is in the presentation. I will also take a look at the illustration format and structure because it is a very important part, especially when you are working with visual tools like PowerPoint. I will take a look that every team member is involved into the presentation and that there's kind of a balance between you all. And as we are only 2, as I said, in the audience, the interaction with the audience is important, but not that much. So it's more the last point. And yeah, also if you try to use additional techniques, like for example, survey or polls inside the that you include in your presentation, that would be nice, but it's not required. Yeah, it's like the plus. So most important parts: clear presentation of the key messages, the content of the presentation, the illustration and format of the presentation, and the involvement of all team members. This is very important to me. The other points are also, yeah, you should also think about that, but mostly I will take a look on the first 4. So, is it clear? Are the requirements regarding the presentation next week clear? Do you know what you have to do?
Yes, clear.
Actually, I want to know which kind of questions we may.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can
ask.
you repeat that? I was it was my fault. Yeah, the sound was off.
Actually, I want to know which kind of question will we meet in the discussion or.
This depends on your project report. So what I will do is I will read in a very quick way. I will read your project report until next week, and I'm pretty sure there will come up some questions. But because I didn't read it until today, I cannot tell you what kind of question it will be. It might be a question. Something I don't understand, and I want to clarify and better understand what you meant with a specific content. Or it also can be a question about why did you choose to recommend this kind of approach to the client, to the customer, and not another one. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I think you will be prepared in a good way when you do the presentation, when you prepare the presentation, because then you have to go through your project report again and find out what are the key messages, what is important content to be presented, and maybe it might make sense if you all come together and talk about that as well. What would be your goal? And then you probably will also realize where are some missing parts in your project report. And yeah, probably I will find these 2 and ask some questions. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, that seems to be clear. So then let's go to the requirements for the handout. It's 10 to 15 pages, and it's also based on Word, like you did it with your project report. And yeah, I also asked you to submit it in a PDF format to the audience. That means to me and also to Ms. Frisch. Before the beginning of the presentation, so we can check that while we go through that. The content is, yeah, it's like an extended abstract of your project report or of your presentation. Of course, you can add some more information. You can use also some more explained slides. This is also possible. You can use your PowerPoint presentation that you are preparing for the presentation, and you can add some more information and bring it all together in a PDF format and then this as a handout. That would also be fine for me. Yeah. So you can create a new document, but you can also use your PowerPoint presentation and extend it and add some more information, because usually the PowerPoint version only has, for example, bullet points, and sometimes it's better if you write sentences. The content, of course, should be almost the same as for the presentation, about your project mission, what were your goals, what is your consulting concept, and also what are your lessons learned. I think that's it. Yes. Okay. Any questions regarding the handout?
Well, all clear.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, when you prepare, when you finalize your project report until tomorrow, when you prepare your presentation and your handout, please take a look into this document that you already received in April. Yeah, on April 23rd, you see. So you have that document. Please, double check that so that every content and every requirement is met. Okay, so so I will move that, prepare questions regarding your presentation. We already talked about that. So the most important thing is finish your report and submit it to me until June 19th. Okay. This is the same. So any questions regarding your to-dos? Do you want to talk about what kind of tasks you have to do regarding your presentation, or is it clear you want to do that on your own in a team?
Maybe we should, just pay responsibility for your own part.
What do you mean?
I mean, in the article, we cannot write each name to each part. So maybe we should pay responsibility for our own part, so you can know who did this, right?
And but also there has to be someone who will create the PowerPoint template and who will bring all the information together, who will do that. That's also something you have to do. Yeah. But of course, it is.
That's also the question that I prefer that everyone do their own part of the PowerPoint, and then when they finish, they can send it to me, which can be a final vision, right?
Okay. So just as a repetition, you suggest that everybody is responsible to create her or his content in the same way like you all did with the report, and in the end send it to you or upload it in Slack, and you will bring all this together to create one presentation. So what is your deadline? Because you will need some time to bring the content together, right? So next week on June 20th, next week Thursday, you have to finish your presentation and the handout.
Yes. Any other ideas, girls?
if you like to, we can do a 15 minutes break, and you can use that break as well to discuss how you will divide your responsibilities. Yeah, maybe that's easier for you. So you can talk in Chinese, and yeah, I will give you 15 minutes. So we will be back then, and you can have a break and also discuss that. Okay?
Well, that's be fine.
Yeah, and you can also already enter your results here into Trello if you like. Yeah, you can also add cards and so on. So don't have to wait for me, as you like.
Okay.
Okay, so see you in 15 minutes.
所以各位有什么想说的吗？
就 PPT 的话，还是只做自己写的论文的那一部分吧。
对，因为只有你自己知道你自己写的什么东西，然后侧重点在哪里。如果让比如说某个人说，比如说让我来负责全部的话，我就不知道你这个侧重点在哪里，有可能。
那我们要统一一个 PPT 模板吗？还是就
不是，它是对，最好统一一个 PPT 模板，然后你们就每个人把自己的部分做出来，做出来之后，你标好这个是哪部分，5.1、5.2、5.3、6.1这样，然后最后发给我也行，放到那个那个就发论文的那个公共频道也行，这样的话大家最后集合起来去做一个PPT 的话会比较好一点，然后到那个演讲的时候大家都就是哪个部分是谁的就自己来。
看上面
没
说
有规定，
每个人要说20分钟？
对你只要能说满你那个分钟数，你那个 PPT 几页无所谓，懂吗？然后有一个问题就是，是我的看出来不一样吗？还是怎么样？就是我看他那个论文里面，他传上去的那个版本，我靠，为什么我那个字体是红色的，然后另外那个不知道谁写的那个字体是蓝色的，哦，就很奇怪，一个红色一个蓝色的。对，我用电脑看的。刚刚老师那个打开来也是这样的呀，对吧？你等让老师再看一遍，就是很奇怪，就我们用不同版本的这个，就是那些部分是没有人写吗？
有一个开始是有一个是叫做附录表的，就是你所有论文当中，比如说你写的部分，你用到了一个表格，或者是插入了一个什么文件，然后你就直接在那里面附录说一下，我写的部分没有，你们谁如果写的话，到最后添加一下。还有那个就是参考文献也是的。
哦，对，然后你们先把所有人名字先写上去，对吧？妈的，老师说这个问题有点大。我本来想今天早上查一点，但今天早上去趟学校。陈子瑶，你要不要试一下你现在这个网络情况怎么样？素晨，你是在做饭吗？Hello。 陈佳，你真的要不要先试一下？因为我感觉你好像今天网也不是特别好。 什么情况？
Hello. So, have you been able to sort that out, how you will divide your tasks?
Well, maybe we need to delete some schedule because we don't have much data for that.
What do you mean? You don't have?
We already finished the talk, and as I told you, we decided to do each part of the point, and about the article. Maybe we don't need so much part. So maybe we will delete some unnecessary part.
Okay.
Is that okay?
What do you mean with delete some necessary part? Maybe I don't get that. And what do you mean with article? Do you mean the
yes, the project.
The project report?
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you want to delete?
It's just my personal idea. I'm not sure it's work or not because I checked the whole project. Okay. Yes, maybe at the beginning and at the last, we may delete some part which.
Maybe you want to share the document so I better understand what you want to shorten.
I think Li just want to say maybe we should delete some unnecessary part because, for example, like the splicement sheet at the first, but not makes the abstract at the first chapter.
So for the project report to submit it tomorrow. Or do you mean regarding the presentation? So I'm a bit confused.
About the paperworks.
So what you have to, so I extended your timeline until tomorrow, and you mean that document?
Yes.
So okay. So as I said, it is your decision. So as I said, there are some headlines that don't have content, and it is your decision if you want to fill it with content or to delete headlines. But of course, the abstract, for example, is a necessary part of your project work. So you shouldn't delete that abstract, but maybe, for example, chapter 6.2. Yeah, because you already have the content in other chapters written. And if you don't need a list of tables, then you don't need a list of tables, then you don't need the headline for list of tables. But for example, if I'm right, what is also missing is the list of references. That means where did you get your data and your information? Yeah, the quotation.
Yes, we know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you need any more information from my side to finish the report? Okay, I see that as a no, so you are fine. And what about the presentation for next week? Do you need any more information from my side to be able to create the presentation? Okay, so that is clear as well. Yeah, as I said, take a look again to that PowerPoint document I sent you, or it was a PDF guideline for your project work. And yeah, there are all relevant requirements written. And if you have any questions in between until next Thursday or tomorrow during the day, I will be available by Slack or as well by email if anything comes up. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Good. So then let's go ahead with our content. The presentation is so we were here. Yeah, from the last time I told you, so we talked about the project work, the status update. There was no specific self-study content. As I said, you will receive some more documents within the next days, just if you are interested. And what we agreed is that you prepared a repetition of the content of the last session we had last week. That means a brief overview about the tools and especially the part content management. And I didn't choose one specific student. The idea was that you all decide and divide the task between you 5. So who's going through the content repetition, who's first? So did you prepare for the repetition?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So first part, I believe belongs to ladies.
Okay. So someone who wants to share the screen, or shall we use my screen?
And one tips, actually, I found some small mistakes in my part. We will see it later.
Okay, typings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
你们谁先呢？谁是第一个？自己开始呀。Well, it seems the pages are they a little different?
Mm-hmm.
It's, as you
want to
see,
share?
it's yeah. For example, the pages on your side is 10, but on
Yeah.
our side is 18.
Yeah, this is because this is a new presentation. It's a new slide deck. So
Okay.
yeah, so I moved the slides. Yeah, but it's the same content. It should be the same content. Yeah. So, but these are the same slides as you can see on the left-hand side. It's just a brief overview about the tools and methods, and then the deeper dive into project management. So these are the same slides, and yeah, also the additional slides about exemplary project plans and so on.
Okay.
So
the first page, is that the first page?
that was the first page, yeah, of the content you were responsible to repeat. Yeah. The session before, we talked about the process only, and we did a deep dive into acquisition, analysis, solution design, and so on, and what you do there. And this was just this slide is just an overview about possible and relevant tools and methods like presentation tools, SWOT analysis, and so on. Shall we move to the next slides, to the project management slides, because we will talk about the tools and methods later?
Yes, because we thought it's started from the project management.
Yeah, okay. So this was just, you just have to let me know which slide you want to talk about. Maybe it's easier, not in the presentation mode. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Last page, yeah, I think I had, yeah, I'm sorry, I think it's in another document. Give me a second. That one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my fault. I was missing that. So, yeah, this was a question. This were your ideas. Next page or? Yeah, this one. Thank you. Okay, in addition, when we talked about time, cost, and quality, we also talked about the saying magic triangle. Yeah, you have this triangle where you have one part is focusing on the time, the other on the cost, and the other on the quality. And in every project, you have pressure on all these corners. Yeah, you have time pressure, you have cost pressure because you have probably a budget which is way too low, and you have high expectations regarding the quality. And as a project manager and a project team, you have to bring all these three corners and aspects together and find a balance. What is sure, you cannot ask for higher quality if you want to lower the costs and shorten the time. So they are bounded together, the three aspects. And yeah, if you lower the costs and if you shorten the time, you have to live with less quality. That's for sure. And as a project manager, you have to keep that in mind.
Hello， 老师又掉线了吗？Well, seems you lost the connection for seconds.啊，老师又不幸掉线了。哎，怎么好像还有人掉了？
Hello again. I'm sorry, I got lost. But I think you realize it because I heard you saying that I was losing connection here. Sorry. So, yeah, I will share my screen again.
Seems you need a better internet.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on today. But actually, I'm quite happy every lesson we can manage without a lot of interruptions. So I'm sharing my screen again.
Oh, God.
Okay, so project types.
You know what? We lost another 2 colleges.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. For yeah.
And today Ray told me that maybe she will lost the connection, so she sent me her part of the project presentation at first, in case we cannot hear her. Sorry.
Yeah. No
so
worries.
maybe I will take her part later.
So the person who is responsible for the project type is lost as well, right?
Oh, sorry, I need to check the.
So who we lost? We lost Ray and Zoe and Miss Frisch. So Miss Frisch is not that important because she's only co-listening, but we lost Ray and Zoe at the moment. So Zoe is back.
I'm afraid this part is belong to Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And
No.
my part starts from project responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will just take over this part here, project types, that we don't lose too much time. So the idea of this slide is only to give you an impression in which areas it is possible to set up projects, right? So it can be more a strategy project, that means to develop a new strategy or make adaptations. Also, your project work was would have been a project in the real world to enter a new market. Yeah, you should set up a project team. Also, the idea of developing new products or services could be implemented as a project, but this also depends on the company. Yeah. Because not every company is set up with a project structure. Usually you have your usual structure, functional structure, and an additional project organization. Okay, we lost Zoe again.
As planned.
Bad day today. Yeah, let's see how far do we get get with the repetition, because you already heard that last week.
And that's also what I worried about. if in the final repetition we got an internet problem, because it may happen, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well,
but it can also happen that my internet connection has a breakdown, and I can't give you any lessons. So last week, for example, we had 3 days with very poor internet, but fortunately not the Thursday. But I was really kind of nervous because it crashes everything, right?
yeah, the internet is always magic. When you want to use it, it's bad. Yeah. When you leave the home, it start working.
It's true. Okay, so I think that's fine with that slide. Maybe one additional information. I think I gave that example last time as well. So these are, of course, what you see are project types within a company or some parts of a company, but of course you can create personal and private projects like a wedding or a birthday party, or just going on holidays might be something like a project, because you don't do that daily. Yeah. Doing the housework, for example, wouldn't be a project. That's more daily business. Yeah. Because you have a repetition. That's the idea. When we go back to that slide, it's goal-oriented, it's temporary, so you plan it, you realize it, and then it's done. And then you probably have a new and changed environment or situation, and it's kind of unique, so you don't repeat it on a daily or weekly basis. And it doesn't matter if there are involved 50 team members in a project, or only 2, or even 1 person can set up kind of a project, but then you don't need a big project or organization. Okay. So there is a way trying to.
Sorry.
I hope she can join when we talk about the new content.
I heard she lives in a high mountain, so maybe the connection is not so good.
Mm-hmm. So welcome, Zoe. Welcome back. Lee, do you know who is responsible for this slide?
I do believe I believe it's also belongs to Zoe because each of us take 2 pages.
Okay, so probably this would be part of Ray as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty clear. It's an exemplary project organization that. So you can see the project manager is not on the highest level. The project manager is responsible for the coordination and management of the project, but there is the client who's on the highest level because the client sets the goal, and there the client can be internal or external. And then you have a steering committee, which is kind of transporting the information of the requirements of the client to the project manager. Yeah. But I don't want to tell too much because I think this is then your slide or one of your slides.
Well,
right?
that's my part.
Yeah.
Well, as you see, project responsibility consists of 3 parts: steering committee, project manager, and project assistant. Start from steering committee. It sounds like senior management.
It can be, yeah. It is usually a group of different people, but usually there are also senior managers involved. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
but sometimes they can also be a specialist. You know, when you are, for example, your project is to optimize the accounting process, then it might make sense that someone who's maybe in the from the lawyer team part of the steering committee, yeah,
or maybe board of directors.
Yeah, of the accounting team. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but this is not, it's not defined. Yeah, it's always an individual decision who is part of the steering committee. But you are right, mostly senior management. But sometimes they need kind of technical consultants, people who know a bit better what is relevant on an operative basis.
And this steering committee do the job, choose the right guy to do the right things. So as you see, we need formulation of the project goal. If it hasn't been done by the client, and choose the right guy to be the project management. Then you have to approve the project planning, make the whole plan, guide us to do the right thing, and also the project management. And on the other side, it can be also like a mirror of the inside of the company, which means monitoring the process of the project and report to the company management. And the second part, project management, is far more easier because project management do the job, do the things right, do the things with the right way, with the right, well, just as here said, with the right technical and method leadership. And the project management need to do the project organization, planning, and coordination.
Mm-hmm.
As a team leader, he need to do the timetable and make sure everything is going on, and check every step, every process, and including general time, quality, and budget goals. Also, as a manager, he needs to enable the project team. And last but not the least, project management need to cooperate with change management, take care of it. At last, we got a project assistance. The main job for the project assistance is help the project management to do some detail things like the daily job, for example, documentation and research.
That's right.
So, well, that's some paperwork at office, and also project assistants need to check the inside company.
You mean internal?
Yeah, internal cooperation, like the date coordination, and something like that. And we support the project management in general project organization.
Yeah, it really depends how experienced this special person is. Of course, the more experienced the project is, the more the person can take over from the project manager, of course, or maybe do something more technically. Yeah.
Or maybe the job like security.
Yeah. And do you remember you were talking about that the project manager has to enable the project team? Do you remember what that means in detail? Do you have an idea? Why should the project manager enable the project team? And for what? So maybe
any tips? Any tips for me?
I think I can help you out. You remember this slide that every project is kind of unique, and that means, for example, the situation itself to work in a project, it can be the first time for the project team or for single members to work in a project or to work together with this specific team. Maybe they have never worked with specific project management tools like a Gantt chart or a specific software, whatever. Yeah, and so from the methodical side, the project manager is responsible to enable the project team, to help them to be able to work in a project to understand what project work means and how responsibility in a project works, and that, for example, most work patches are related to each other and that they depend on each other. So somebody, for example, has a task to do and will only be able to do that when the task of another person is finished. And this is very project specific because it's so unique, and that means to enable, or this is the reason why the project manager has to take care of the enablement of the project team, that they can work together as a team in a project.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
next slide.
And by the way, I'm happy to see that you fixed a little mistake here. And the next. Well, classic and Agile PM approach. Here are two PM approach. One, the classic one, we call it waterfall. It's from my point of view, it's a closed linear of method. From that picture, I saw it's a closed linear, and as you see, the Agile or whatever. Another one is a open non-linear circle. So that's two kind of typical PM approach. For the first waterfall, because it's a closed linear, it will have a better commitment, stability, reliability, and security, and also clarity. Because it's we do it one by one after another one, so can be far more easier way to do them. On the other side, because it's quite simple on the process of doing that. So behind that, we need a extrinsic. We need a better or more complex plan and documentation, and also because it's a closed linear, it's not so flexible when interface the requirements change or new wishes, new ideas. Anyway, it sounds older way and very very conservative. And so we got another choice which is more open. As I said, it's an open non-linear circle. Yes, well, and of course, different like the first one, it have a short reaction times. fast project development, or well, cause it's a circle, another circle, it's a circle behind it. It's not one step after another step. It's a circle after another circle.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see we check every time when the circle finished, which means we can see the progress in the every end of the circle, and cause it consists of several small circles. So in the real world, it can be several small teams, which means we got a not like a huge team, but every small team can do their own jobs. This can be more flexible for the team to match the new ideas or requirements. And in another way, it can in a small team you can communicate with each other more clearly, and they can trust. You can create trust and commitment. And I believe we also believe that this kind of model drives innovation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's known for that. That's true.
On the but it also have some weakness because it's limited by high complexity. As you know, it's not a one. It's not just simple as one by one. It's far more complex by compared with the first one, and maybe lack of decision making skills is also a problem because in this model, we can see there are about there are no hierarchy, right?
You mean hierarchy?
Yeah, hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
Sorry for my German words.
Hierarchy, yeah. I was like, okay, that didn't sound English.
And as you see, there are more process in this model. It requires more communication, and the documentation can be also too minimalistic. And of course, not all aspects can be made agile.
Agile is English. Agile, the German.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So we will go, I think, in the next slide or later on, we will check in which situation, which approach is more likely to choose and more helpful. Yeah. And so then we will talk about that later. So the next slide, who got this?
Oh, that's my part.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. My part is to compare those two different project management and the conclusion, the strength, the advantage, and the weakness, also disadvantage. For the very traditional project management, first they need to find a target and then take action, launch, and they giving the hope that the target doesn't move, so they can aim for the result and having good result. But that can be used every time because the situation is changed. People cannot plan everything in front, so they must be very prepared. So another agent project management. That is, first you took a vision of the target, and then you changed like a different angle, and maybe when meet some situation is also become a breaking point that can make the whole team adapt to the changeable conditions, and in the aim of find the home in target incrementally.
Incrementally, I will just move back to the other slide because here you can see that in a very good and clear way. Incrementally means that you go step by step to reach your goal, and you create a small version of your final result, and then you add more details. So maybe the first one you see here, the first target is very small. It's just a pilot. It's a prototype. And then you try to test it, and then you add more details, and it's growing. And in the end, you come up with the final solution, which is maybe a bit different than you expected here, but it's closer to what you really need. And this is what means home in on target incrementally. Yeah. Just an addition.
Yes. And for those advantages, the newer project management also have some weakness. Its advantage. First, it needs a very higher demands of the knowledge, so it can choose every small target and doing all the process. That also means during the whole process, we need to put much invest to reach the goal. And the second is every project has to be analyzed first to choosing the best fitting method and the tools. And that is, I think, also a part of the first reason is that means every project needs a lot of work from each team members because it need to analyze to the different situation and to be very, very prepared for the next step. And the third is approach can change during the course of the project.
So that, maybe I did not really explain that last time. That means, for example, that you start with a traditional project management approach, and then you realize in a specific phase of your project that for that phase it makes sense to work more agile. But in total, you are more in a waterfall way, yeah, in a traditional method. But there are parts that where you work agile, or the way around. You're working agile and going to your target incrementally. But there are, for example, work packages and phases where it makes sense to do waterfall planning. That was the idea, yeah, behind that point.
Yes.
Okay. The next slide is also yours?
Yes.
Okay.
The next is just some example, introduction of some method and tools for the process.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you already know?
To be very honest, before those class, I haven't have the knowledge about those tools, so none of them I know before.
Okay, maybe that surprises you, but you are already used a bit to work with Kanban because where is it? This here is the Kanban method, that you have these columns and you have tasks and you move these tasks. This is a typical Kanban board when you have a to-do list and a section where you can move your to-dos in the done section. So don't be shy, you already work with Kanban and you can tell other people that you know what Kanban is.
Okay.
Yeah. And to all of you, a question. You were working with a method of Kanban. Which kind of approach, when we go back to this waterfall and agile approach, in which kind of approach did you work with your project work? Was it more waterfall, like you tried to define what has to come out at the end and you planned your to-dos and you created your content and then you submitted it? Or was it more in an agile way?
I choose the agile way.
And you as a team in total?
Yes, I agree, because we have in each time different little target and make it combine all those to make our project work.
Mm-hmm.
It seems the first one is more have a high risk, and the second one agile. After every time you finish the small circle, you can check it back and fix some mistakes and make a new make a new plan for tomorrow. So you will have you can avoid the unnecessary risk.
Mm-hmm. So I think you did something in between. I think you did something like a hybrid approach. This is my opinion, because what we did in the first section, when we worked the first time on your Trello board, you remember, then we created every step and we decided what has to be done until when. And then you did that step by step, and I told you, let's check every week what you're doing. So we made a plan, but inside of that plan, we were working a bit more agile, yeah, because we didn't define in the beginning, for example, at what date the abstract has to be written and finished. This is what we did during the last 2 weeks or something. So from my point of view, we were working in something between, like in a hybrid approach.
The golden mean, right?
Okay, so last repetition part. Is it Zoe? Probably, right? Because she's missing.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah. So we will go through that very quickly then.
I can.
You can?
Yeah, because she sent me.
Perfect.
her part of our reputation. Page 29. Project management is generally carried out from 4 aspects. The first is the theme, which should be accurate, concise, and clear, which is what is called learn the figure.
This one, lean.
Lean.
It's one.
Lean.
It's one option, right? So, yeah.
The second is principle, measured by Agile. This is because principles play a guiding role in the task management process. Only with sufficient flexibility and agility can problems be solved quickly, and project development can be accelerated. The third is process, which is the most important link. This stage usually use traditional waterfall tools, which can make the process more stable, reliable, and safe. Also need to use theoretical system, project management institute, and project management body of knowledge. Those professional management knowledge can make project management more scientific and efficient. When focusing on progress of the project, you can use some external tools such as Carbon, and I think this is similar to Tenlo. Yeah, she's right. Which also allow us to accurately know the task and the collection and facilitate planning and planning. Price 2 runs through the first 3 connect. It's called project in controlled environments. Divides a project into manageable phases in order to efficiently control the use of resources and platform regular monitoring process throughout the project cycle. The last item is standard, which use the same method as the project management body of knowledge and experience in part 3. These 4 links are an important part of project management and are gradually improving. That's for
Okay, thank you. Before you go to the next page, I just want to add some more information. So why did I add this slide to this one? Because you see here are methods and tools.
Yes.
Yeah, you see Scrum and Prince2, PMI book, Waterfall, and you find these words again here. So the idea is to make you better understand when you are searching, for example, on the internet or in the literature, you will find different definitions of what a project management method or tool is. If you're searching for tools, you will find software products, but you will also find something about Scrum, sometimes something about design thinking, and so on. And the idea is to make you better understand that you have like different ranges, how far a method reaches. Yeah. For example, agile, it means principle. It's an approach. If you decide for agile approach, then you can use different or work along different process tools like Scrum or Kanban, and you can use, for example, as a tool Trello, or you can do it on your whiteboard at home. Yeah, that would be the tool. And but if you choose an agile approach, it doesn't mean that you have to work using the Scrum or Kanban method. You can choose your own methods. It's more the incremental approach, and it's like on a higher level. It's more, let's say, it tells you something about the values, how you meet a problem and a project. And the other one is a real, very specific technique. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to tell you with this slide. So that you don't get that much confused, because sometimes someone is calling agile project management a method, while another one is calling it an approach. You have to understand that there is kind of a different, and you first have to decide if I'm going more in a traditional or an agile approach, am I working with a lean approach, and then you can decide what kinds of tools might help you. You can also work in a traditional way, but use a Kanban board. Yeah, that's not, so that's of course allowed, and it's possible, and it might help you to work better with your waterfall project plan. Okay, so last slide. I was hoping Zoe was back, but just for a few seconds.
As planned.
Yeah. Maybe this one as a last slide, and then.
Well, let me continue and say sorry to Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
It can be seen from the figure that according to the difference in technology and requirements, different project management methods should be selected. In the case of low technology and low requirements, it is a simple method to use optional service.
Mm-hmm. That means daily business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the case of low technological and medium requirements, use the waterfall tool because it doesn't adapt to complex requirements. And in the case of medium technology and low requirements, adopt lean management or continuous improvement methods. Mm-hmm. However, in the case of complex and everything as requirements and technology improve, Kanban, Scrum, design thinking, and effectivation are adopted. Well, that's all.
Thank you. I'd like to add as well here an aspect. You can add to the technology also methods. Yeah, if so, if we are in a very if we are clear about what kind of technology or what kind of method we like to use to reach our requirement. So it mustn't be a technology, it can also be that if we how. So the requirement means clarity about the what do we want to achieve with that in that situation.